By 2008, the Devil May Cry franchise was a PlayStation staple. With 3 official entries, a few comics and novels, and an anime, the Devil May Cry fans were eating good. In 2005 and 2006 respectively, the new generation of consoles, being the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, will release. With the 360 being the hot new flashy toy and the PS3 not having the greatest start to its life cycle, the Devil May Cry franchise was looking into the 7th generation of consoles as its new destination. The first ever teaser trailer for Devil May Cry 4 would be shown off at E3 2005, initially only being planned for the PlayStation 3. While not looking amazing in today's generation, the trailer was made to show off the PlayStation 3's immense power and graphical potential. Sometime later in development, the decision was made to go multi-platform to reach a new, wider audience. Along with this, the decision was made to introduce a new protagonist. The next year at the Tokyo Game Show in 2006, a trailer was shown that would more closely resemble what the final game would look like. The only slight tweaks being that Nero's health bar was slightly changed and different names for the ranking system. DMC4 was incredibly rushed through development. The game had an estimated 3-year development window, and I couldn't find any actual information on why DMC4 was rushed, but just that it was rushed. The game ended up being somewhat unfinished, and this becomes a glaring issue late into the game. In January of 2008, Devil May Cry 4 released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 and later the PC. Later in 2015, a new special edition will release for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles that added 3 new characters and costumes respectively. I've got to be honest, I did not have a good experience with this game. I don't think that DMC4 is inherently a terrible game, but I can't sit here and act like I had the best time with it, because I didn't. Devil May Cry 4 introduces a new protagonist in Nero, who somehow resembles Dante. And it's not outright stated until 5, but Nero is Virgil's son. His intro cutscene is badass, and it sets a decent first impression. And I've seen a lot of fans say that Nero in Devil May Cry 4 is whiny and a crybaby. And while that is true, I do think it adds depth to his character. At times, Nero comes off as like a pale imitation of Dante, but he also has a lot of his own character traits that make him his own. He does like to scream a lot, though. Nero here is voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, which makes him the 3rd actor in the series who previously played a Power Ranger. A lot of people think this is a coincidence, but it's actually on purpose, if you can believe that. Dante is still in the game, but for the first half, he kind of just takes a mentor role just being there. He takes a gigantic backseat in this game. Thankfully, you do get to play as him, so it's not like they completely had the main series protagonist just not be there. He's once again replies by Ruben Langdon, who still delivers a good performance as the character. He's not as much of a smartass as he is in DMC3, but he's nowhere close to the way he was in DMC2 and won't be for the rest of the series. Nero is a cool character. I do think that he was handled well in the story, but I just never really clicked with his gameplay. It isn't terrible, but I just never really got good with Nero in this game. His whole gimmick is that he has this demonic arm that can do heavy attacks to enemies, and he's also got a sword in the Red Queen with a motorcycle engine that can be revved up for stronger and more damaging attacks. He also has a revolver, which is the primary gun attack, and later in the story, Nero gets his own devil trigger that works exactly like Dante's, minus having a true form. The enemies in DMC4 up to this point are the most annoying in the series. Some of the most advanced enemies like Blitz, Faust, and the Frost are annoying as hell and are complete and total bullshit. They gave me less trouble as Nero, and I say this because when you play as Dante just shreds through them easily. And the bosses in this game are a mixed bag in my opinion. Dante is actually the first boss, and the game keeps it mysterious with the mission description. Yeah, you could tell they wanted to reach a new audience. And they succeeded because this was actually my first Devil May Cry game. Now, of course, I wasn't playing this game back in 08, but I believe I got a 360 copy back in 2014 or 15. I may have gotten it bundled with the reboot. I'm not entirely sure, but I know it was before the special edition never dropped. Some of the bosses gave me trouble in my playthrough with Nero, mainly Agnes, who has this move that can take away your devil trigger and replenish his own health bar. But once you figure out how to avoid it and I can actually attack him out of it, he doesn't become that much of a problem. The best boss in the game is Kratos, and at first I did struggle with him, but once you figure out the way he works and his attack pattern, he's actually an enjoyable boss. Nero uses Devil Bringer in a lot of the boss fights to do big damage to the bosses when they are stunned. Later in the story, Nero gets captured by Sanctus, who is the game's main villain and who Dante actually shot square in the forehead at the start of the game. Sanctus captures Nero, and this is what leads to Dante being playable. But Dante's entire section is just the entire game backwards. Don't get me wrong, Dante is fun as hell, just like he was in 3, and I say that due to it literally being his DMC3 moveset with some new additions. And the big change to Dante is the fact that he can switch styles at will. There's no need to change it before a mission and only having 2 styles. You can just select all 4 at will, which is really good, and it adds more depth to combos. It's the same with Dante's weapons. In DMC3, you could only carry 2 of each weapon type, but now you can carry all of them switching at will. This is a great change, and that ultimately would carry over to DMC5 when that released. DMC4 arguably has Dante's best design. I personally think it's DMC3, but I won't argue with 4 if you told me that. But I really do hate that Dante's whole section is just Nero's missions in reverse order. He fights the same bosses and actually kills them because Nero didn't. And I'm happy he's here, but I felt like he could have had his own story. Or it could have been what DMC5 would do and let you select a character during any moment during the mission. This game also has one of the most annoying final bosses I have ever faced off against in a Devil May Cry game. You fought him before in Nero's last mission before starting Dante's section, and it wasn't that bad, but here it is genuinely infuriating. I don't like the way that Sanctus works here. He hides in this protective bubble that you must destroy. Okay, simple enough. Now we can attack him, right? Right? No. Good luck hitting him because you need to latch onto these... I don't know what the hell to call these, and attack Sanctus, but the guy dodges and weaves more than Prime Anderson Silva. The closest I got was down to about 3 bars of health. Sanctus has this crushed attack that always seems to hit. No matter how many times I dodge it, I seem to get clipped by it. Sanctus has like John Jones reach. You think you're out of range and then just get met with a giant eye poke. Wait, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, Devil May Cry. I have completed this game before, once on 360 and again on PlayStation 3, but I played on easy. Here I'm on Devil Hunter, and this boss is just straight up terrible. I didn't remember it being this annoying, so either I just blocked it out of my memory, or it's made insanely easy on human. This game has microtransactions because it came out in 2015. Of course it's going to have microtransactions, and for $1.99 you can get enough orbs to buy every item in the game. So I bought it, and got full health and full Devil Trigger, and I still cannot beat this trash-ass boss. Maybe a skill issue, but it's my judgment that I think this boss is horrible. Which means that we have now found a worse boss more than Arkham. Originally, I was going to beat the game with Virgil, Lady, and Trish, but at this point, I was defeated and just did really not want to play through this game anymore. I did start saves with Virgil and Lady. Virgil is actually fun. He just tears through enemies like they're nothing. He has his DMC3 moveset with some updated moves, and he's very fun to use and kind of complex when you involve the concentration gauge. He's a pretty complex character. Lady is decent. She has one melee combo and is mostly gun focused, which I don't personally think is a bad thing. She's fun, and if I think brought back in a future Devil May Cry title as a playable character, if she was polished, she could be a very fun character. And I didn't get to play as Trish because, just like Dante, you unlock her after beating the first half of the game, and I just couldn't do it. I was burnt out. DMC4 has problems. And it sucks that I had a bad time with this game because I do remember genuinely enjoying it, but when reviewing games, I need to be honest with my views on said game. I don't think that DMC4 was that good. Like, it's not an inherently bad game. I don't think this game's flat out terrible. I've definitely played worse games, but I just did not have a good time with it, and I just didn't have fun. I would go as far to say, and this is probably going to trigger a lot of you guys, but I enjoyed the reboot in DMC3 more than Devil May Cry 4. But, at the same time though, I can recognize the good this game has. And with that being said, the final verdict for Devil May Cry 4 is a solid but not great 6 out of 10. Probably not going to agree with this opinion. That's fine. You can state your own opinions in the comments. And, yeah, it sucks I had a bad time with this game. Next time on the channel, we're going to talk about Devil May Cry 5. I am excited to get back into that game because I enjoyed playing it when it first came out. And I think it was the only DMC game I bought at release. So yeah, next on the channel is going to be Devil May Cry 5. I'll see you then.